Let's make sure my mic volume's working. You should be coming through clear. Ooh.
Hello.
Oh, good, you're not heard twice. Good. That was one thing I was hoping that wouldn't happen. Hello. Welcome to the stream, Marty SH and Dynamis. And for those watching, welcome to the art team office hours. I'm Aegis Wolf, and this is Rushen, part of the
Hello.
art team of Resonite. Well, Yellow Dog Man, but we work on Resonite. Yeah.
We'll be here to answer any questions y'all might have for content-related things or how stuff works.
General questions are welcome, as well as anything in regards of well, making stuff in here, making stuff using this platform for other things, the sorts. Yeah.
Did you ever show off the Gaussian splat tool, like the model itself? I know last time we
The
had pictures.
previews of it, not the actual one. I know Fruix eventually wants to make like a demo video for it, but I think it wouldn't hurt to also just demonstrate it here, as well as the other tool that I've been trying to restore. Let me find it real quick. It's still in that unsorted folder that we have. Building tools. There we go. Nah, I didn't mean to grab the cannon. There we go. I think there was one more thing I was gonna grab. No. That should be good. And we already have a question from Lucas. Welcome, Lucas. Why did you remove all mesh colliders from the Dawn modular pieces? Good question. Performance. That's the #1 reason.
Yeah. Some of the meshes for the Dawn modular set were complex enough that having mesh colliders on them was a significant performance decrease. There's not much difference between collider types, but mesh colliders in general are some of the heaviest ones. So an easy place for us to get a little bit of performance is to replace all the colliders with simple ones, which are much easier to calculate, load faster, and generally run better.
I should also demonstrate on... let me take this with me. There we go. So, we got these pieces here. It's pretty much the same over there. We just still need to set up the avatar anchors. This is that one kind of part that has like a bench on there. So that's why it's separate. Let's see here. Have you seen the world with over 40k mesh colliders that runs at 60 frames per second? No, I have not. I would actually like to see that world to take a look at how it works.
Again, it also matters on how dense the actual mesh is. So if the mesh collider is literally just a mesh collider on a box, it's really not going to hurt you that much. If it is a mesh collider on like a 3D scanned object, it's going to hurt a lot more. So there's different cases and uses for mesh colliders and the other colliders, and it's kind of you just kind of have to figure out which one or which case is better. So
yeah.
In this case, some of these pieces are pretty dense, so
yeah, and also it's the fact that you're constantly raycasting it with your lasers as well. One thing we yeah, that is one of the other reasons why we also use convex hulls and boxes or cylinders, spheres, etc.
Mesh colliders are basically like a paper thin collider, whereas convex hull and the simple colliders are like full volume colliders.
Yeah. Well, actually, I just remembered
Harder to
mesh
slip through.
colliders. You got like one-sided mesh colliders where you have like a bit of a solid and kind of almost slight extra force, but whenever it's like a dual-sided collider, it's pretty much paper thin. And using kind of mesh colliders for very specific things, like for example, if you're painting on a model and you want like the to get the coordinates of what you're hitting, or you're using it for terrains or tracks, roads, paths, stuff that would require like much more advanced stuff. Yeah, actually, that's what we had, where we had a mesh collider that basically had the different where you can place the materials and to block the lasers, whereas these primitive colliders would have ignore raycast but be able to, collide with. Also, Marty, if you by any chance have the name of the world, I would definitely like to check it out after stream. Um, before I get before I forget, one of the things I wanted to showcase too is that well, originally you were able to just slap materials in any kind of particular area of a mesh collider using like the raycaster of the material tool, but removing the mesh colliders kind of removes that option. But what we did instead was we utilized the material relay component here, which is located under assets, uh,
Tagging.
tagging, and you get it right there. You can add as many slots as you want. What it does is you assign it a slot, and whatever material you shoot at that collider,
A
it
material
will,
slot, by the way. So, like on the
yeah.
mesh render, there's a material um, field, and you take that field, and it references it in the component.
Let me find where the field is after I undo the apply. There we go. I go to the base. Right now it says materials
0.
slot 4, which is the fourth slot here, which is this wooden planks for the wall. So I applied it to there by dragging the number here, not the actual material, into the slot. I'll kind of clear it out and place it in again. Now if I hit any of these simple colliders, it'll apply it to there. I did the same thing with the glass here, the carpet, and the flooring right here.
This is also useful if you have an object that you want to replace the collider on, and if the object doesn't have the main texture as the first material in the list. Because if you were to just replace the collider and you shoot it, it'll always grab the first material. With this, you can set it to whatever material you want for the material gun to affect.
Also, if I remember correctly, the hierarchy material target is another useful one that I learned recently, where if you have a collider and then you have objects underneath that collider, it'll just apply the material to everything underneath that collider you shoot, which is another useful thing. So, and figured if we at least keep some of the customizability of the tool or stuff there for like using the material tool, people want to customize it further, it'd probably be best to up the dev tool and learn how it works, and to learn how to edit the materials itself. Another thing we were considering too for the cloud home specifically is a actually, let me pick it up here. Some kind of like slot system for the different materials that you can like turn on. It opens up the different materials used in the world, and then you can like swap out the orbs or material references, and it will swap out whatever's in the world. Say like the
Like changing the color
trims.
palette.
Oh, those? That's just to mark the glass textures, the interior and exterior glass. The
Yeah, those are
exterior,
more like dev things.
yeah, that's just so I can see which one's which. The exterior glass, you notice, for example, in the cloud home, there's like this weather stains, kind of like rain on a window. It's kind of like a small detail there. Both of these glass materials are in the essentials as well. Yeah, I just slapped text in this world specifically, but they are named in the folders they are from. Alrighty. So place that over there. Clean up here. Is this the? Oh yeah, that's the actual mesh.
Oh yeah, that I was pulling that out to show that um, in these pieces we have sections that are large, and then also sections where we have like the beveled corners that are pretty dense. Um, Pieces like that just kind of make the mesh colliders a little bit more expensive, especially with the way that or not characters, but users have sweeps for their lasers raycasting.
Convex sweeps.
Yeah, so it's just less expensive to run that sweep on a simple collider rather than a mesh collider.
Well, that's just how the wireframe is. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Uh oh yeah. We may as well showcase the tools over here. Uh, let's put the thing back into world. Get the pieces in the backdrop here. And unpin that. So, one of the things that was tasked for the art team was to create a new visual for the Gaussian splat tool. And we'll get to your question in a bit. We created, I showed last stream, I did start saving them, by the way. I'll start figuring out how to upload them as well too. Created a new model in Blender. Ivy helped with the particles and Lacey helped with the sounds. And we created like different effects for it. There's also haptics on it too, if you have your haptics on, to give it like a bit more life to the tools and a bit more oomph when you use them. And I can swap it to the sphere mode. It swaps the model to more of a sphere.
Probably give them a close up of the tool and
Yep,
what
I'll
it does
switch
whenever
to...
you're. For those that don't know, this tool is what you would use to crop out sections of Gaussian splat imports. They're kind of heavy, so we're probably not going to do one of those right now. But Brooks has shown these off on streams before as well, or the basic version of the tool. This is just the model that we're one of.
Yeah. Essentially, the part you want to kind of be the stuff you crop of the Gaussian splat in there. You click the primary, you drag it either sphere or box, then you hit secondary, and it starts baking. It'll put in like one of those loading dialogues.
Kind of like the glue
And
gun.
yeah. As for the other tool, it's a revival of an old building tool that we used when we first created the tutorial in Cloud Home. Now it has a custom model and textures for it, but it's simply what it does. It takes it takes two brush tooltip or tool simulators and draws them on a path. So if I just click these around, it starts planting vines that drape across the ledge here. Story behind this, I manually drawn vines by hand once around like one of the worlds. Realized it was too much, and then I made this tool. Then what I did, the best way to use this tool is just you kind of draw a few, then you bake them together, and then you use that as like a preset, and then you reuse it over and over again. I do have some like menus systems for it. It's like a very bare bones kind of thing. This was very early Protoflux as well too. I still gotta add like effects to it and make this gizmo disappear when it's not pointing at anything. Oh. Ah.
Oh, cool. Thank you for the
We have a
raid.
decoy. We have a bird. Hello. Welcome.
Bird raid.
We are planting ivy leaves. Can I plant ivy leaves on here? Well, it's sideways, but I could probably make it look like it's growing outward like that.
You want to answer the question there that
Yeah.
Marty had?
So, let's answer Marty's question. How often do you use geometry nodes in Blender? Not often enough. I am still learning how to do them, but I know Ravi has been using geometry nodes for some of this stuff for the new modular set.
Yeah, I'd say that for geometry nodes, something like this, where you have a lot of repetitious items that have small changes to them, like that's something that's good for that. But if
Like
you
over
want to just like,
6,000 pieces too.
if you just want to make an item, it's generally not useful, at least yet, to use geometry nodes because if you know what you're doing in Blender, you can just make that item in like 10 minutes if you already know what you want to do. But it would take you the entire 10 minutes just to make the thing that would generate that item with geometry nodes.
If you want to make something, it's called non-destructively, where like say if you want to undo a step or make it procedural in a way, you can definitely use geometry nodes.
Yeah. I remember when I was trying to learn them, there was a tutorial on how to make like a generative crystal with those. And 90% of the geometry node was starting with the shape that already looked like a crystal. So I was like, I'll just cut them out myself and just make it by hand at that point.
There was one other thing I was gonna point out about. Where'd my brush go? Okay, I'll spawn out another. With geometry nodes, this is one thing that Ryuvi and I are just trying to figure out for like months now. Probably around a year, actually, with geometry nodes. So pretty much we're trying to make uh, automatic generation of curved beveled shapes, like kind of like on those railings or the windows of the modular set, to where you can just generate this kind of shape, or maybe like an intersection of a circle, and then like the intersections of the circle are like beveled cleanly like that. Or another good example I ran into is, say, if you want to make a road and you have intersections that can automatically merge together when you model out the roads. But yeah, that's pretty much one of the things we've been looking at here and there to figure out how to make in geometry nodes. And we do have another question from Lucas Rowe. Was there any tests to verify the performance impacts of mesh colliders versus solid colliders?
So that's a hard one to answer because you will get different results but depending on the mesh you use and what you're going to be using it for, right? Now, it can be generally said that computationally wise, mesh colliders are slightly heavier than the rest of the other colliders because there's more for them to calculate. Now, they're not necessarily going to impact performance the same way depending on their use. For instance, in dunes, I use a massive mesh collider for the entire landscape because it's very complex. But it doesn't impact performance that much because the mesh isn't that dense, and there's only one of that item in there, and you're not looking at all of it at once. Um, so it's very situational. In general, mesh colliders should be replaced where they can be. At least that's like my opinion for performance. But they don't have to be, depending on the item. And you'll see this kind of workflow in other games as well. Dark Souls, for instance, does the exact same thing that we're doing here. They take their complex meshes. They don't use the actual collision mesh or like of the object. They make a simplified collision mesh, which is either a highly decimated version of the high poly one or a literal simple collider. In fact, a lot of the colliders in some of the Dark Souls games are literally just boxes, cylinders, and squares, and you never really notice any of that because you can't see them. And functionally, the pieces that we're working on, they'll feel the same as the ones with mesh colliders. They will just be slightly more performant. But yeah. Um, and we've it looks like we've got most of the pieces done already. Um,
Yeah, the only thing left, other than some specific things in the essentials, are the furniture pieces. I mean, they already have primitive colliders made out of them and material relays. They just need a new setup for character anchors or avatar anchors.
yeah. Oh, and specifically with the Cloud Home, a lot of the Dawn asset pieces had both simple and mesh colliders, and so you don't need the mesh colliders at that point. So the only thing they were there to function with was the material gun, but we can do those with material relays.
Yeah, we can
Did
just
we enter
mark
that
these
last
as
one?
well. That one's decoy rating.
Colliders versus solid colliders, mesh colliders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think we. Oh, there is technically one more thing that I can showcase here. I'm just pretty much reiterating what I posted in the quite large devlog that I did last night. But one other thing for those that missed. Uh, oh, there we go. So With the new lamps and lighting, we've added updated dynamic variables here. I don't know why they reset, but I'm just gonna
That
put
panel
in.
down there controls them, so we can just go grab it.
Okay. Yeah, it controls the hanging lights, but I did separate them into 3 different categories, or 4 technically. So I got these hanging lights here. I'm gonna change the color here. Make it a little bit less saturated. Turn on the
Here you go, by the
intensity
way.
of 1.
That should set all of them.
Yep. Oh yeah, that was one thing I wanted to mention too, Rue, is I did separate some of these lights.
Mm-hmm.
So like the sconces here.
Okay, cool.
Wait, what? I separated them. Okay, that's weird. These lights, however, are separate. So that's its own, has its own set of values. Even this little hook stand has its own values for the lights as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a good question from Modern. From your opinion, what's your favorite way to explode?
World spaghettification. That was the funnest one so far.
Lucas remembers that one. I think we both thought of the same damn thing.
Yeah. I almost said April Fool's Day explosion, but like having the entire world turn into spaghetti and then like crash out was the funniest one.
It literally was like you take the world and then it basically gets smushed on like 2 axes like that and then stretched out upward to like an infinite line on the y-axis and then boom, I'm at like my local or cloud home. That was years ago. Yeah. The literal time of world that Rue, Lucas, and I were in literally imploded. All you hear was, oh no, and then you see that, and then you're in your own world. Okay. Yeah. All these, I connected all the materials in there, as well as the ceiling fan. It still has its spinning variables as well too. And pretty much every single object here has had their materials consolidated together, meshes if necessary, and textures within the materials all consolidated together. I know there's some pieces that don't have those primitive colliders made, as they weren't really used as much, so they're just mesh colliders for now. But once we release the source files of these models, people will be able to play with them. They'll first be within the essentials themselves. You may have to like export them in parts because of the how the asset library works within Blender. Should it should work. I'll definitely test it to make sure that you can download those files and be able to set up the Blender asset library that all these run on. The new set will run on it as well too, so I can just simply drag and drop materials into the pieces and mess around with them that way. If I need to tweak a material, I tweak it once and it changes it for everything that uses that material. And noises.
Oh, it's my mic. Okay.
No,
Right.
they're talking about the actual ceiling fan.
Oh, it's raining over where I am currently.
You're not hot miking, so I don't hear anything.
That's good.
Actually, I may have to. Yeah, okay. I did it again.
Oh, you cleared it.
I was like, what is this? Oh, oh no. I still have chat in on my dashboard, so don't worry, guys. I meant to change my multi-tool here to a Protoflux one. It's because of yeah, force of habit or yeah. Let's check up the speed to about 1,000. Well, I guess I found out something else to add. This is missing the sound.
Oh yeah, we haven't hooked up the sound to it because the way it spins is different now. It used to spin
That's not where my hand
with
is.
Protoflux, but we changed it.
Yeah, we changed how the logic works. Good night, Toms. Hope you enjoy your night. Oh, I should probably plug that in. I'm not saving this world. It's okay. So note to self, sound for that, and I gotta add a material relay to those two lamps there. Actually, no, just a tall lamp. Yeah, that pretty much sums up what we've been working on, as well as a couple new pieces here and there and new materials. Yeah. Rotoflux. Wait, does it say Rotoflux? Okay. Although that would be funny. Just for. Hold on.
Also, I don't think it spins with a fan because it's under a different route than the span. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't.
than the spin
It
route.
doesn't spin. There you go. I approve. I almost did it again. I caught myself this time. Uh, computer was making a weird noise. Never mind. Yeah. Oh, since there isn't really much to left to kind of showcase here, you wanna head off to the other world we were in?
Sure. It's called Fevin for some reason. I don't know why.
I did it again.
Oh, you cleared the chat.
I cleared
Yeah,
it
let's
again.
yeah, we have like 30 minutes. We could go over there.
Yulong, Fevin, 7. It's sticky. Wait, if I swap to that and I swap back. Well, that cleaned it.
Yep.
Join. Well, let's join. And now we're back here in this world. I'm gonna turn this on and close.
Well, actually, we're going to be replacing that.
Oh yeah. I think I'm loading that video. Give me a moment.
Yeah. It's funny that the video is the heaviest part of the world. I want to replace it. I need to get like a short music track that I can put over it that people can replace with their music.
Yeah, just have like a URL.
That thing's a placeholder anyway.
I still got chat, so if anybody has questions, I'm still watching. And for those still tuning in just now, this is the art team office hours. So anything regards of content creation within, using, or surrounding Resonite, and even general questions of Resonite itself are welcome. I do have the chat in front of us now too. We're just gonna mess around updating his world with spherical harmonics, right? Like
Yeah, so I made a thing here,
you
which
had
I'm
it
still trying to.
prior. You're just updating it, right?
Well, I'm replacing the spherical dynamics thing with something that I want to give to people, and this will be a good chance to like see how robust it is. I tried to spawn it out. I don't know if it spawned.
Let me spin up my
Actually, I think
multi-tool
it's
as well too.
in. Here it is. This thingy. Fail. Okay, so it comes with a skybox, reflection probes, and protofocus. Um, what you're meant to do is pop this down in the world and set it as the default skybox. Basically, replace the one that's in the world. So when we have, well, actually, we should move over the texture material.
Oh yeah, the material, so it's not the procedural sky and it's using the one that you're using.
Yeah. We will take this and put it here. There we go. Projection. Can you set that one as the skybox?
The one that is in the thing that you spawned out.
Yeah.
I just did. I just did again. Okay.
So the way this works is we have a real-time reflection probe and a static one. I'm gonna set up the button for the real-time one onto this rocker. Leave it. Wait.
That was the.
Oh yeah, that's right. We don't need the value user override anymore.
Well, if you want it local. I just cleared myself out.
The system itself is local now, like the one that I set up over here.
Okay.
At least it should be. We'll see in a second.
I was just clearing like the user that was, or the defaults.
Value field one, which is this one. So I'm going to take this and can you deselect all? I'm gonna have you do that a couple times. Yeah, there we go. Drive that. Now
I saw change for me.
Okay. Yeah, we'll make that local in a moment. So we'll have it off for now.
Oh, have it off?
One.
Now it's off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I think it's on currently because it's backwards. I need to flip it. The static one here, right now, it's over there. Let me go grab it.
What we could do for like worlds that have static ones is you could have like a set of different reflection probes that are baked in different areas, and then you have different volumes, almost like a culling system, where if you go into, say, the underneath this umbrella, it'll swap the reflection probe locally to that one.
That's what this one's doing.
Yep.
It's actually set up so that we can just take it and duplicate it, and then move this out and put it in another area. In this case, we'll
Another easy one
try
would be
to.
the little bar area.
Yeah, let's go put that one over here or over there.
Oh,
Got it? Okay.
yeah, let's go over there and get that one too. There we go.
Cool.
Just aligning it.
We'll probably want to make this one a bit smaller.
You could also change the fade too, like each each box volume there has like a transition area. It's like fade in and out.
We'll
And I
that.
wish we can have like cylindrical ones, but that's just a limitation of Unity. Even modern Unity. Or even to rotate these. They're just locked in a grid. So yeah, good one would be a sphere-shaped reflection probe or a cylinder. Yeah. Oh, I failed. Let's see if I can climb myself to the top. There we go. I still have chat with me in my dashboard, although I should probably get it so you folks can see it too. I think that's chat. Oh, there we go.
Let's put this one in the cave.
Oh yeah, the cave. That one's another one. I also remembered I was going to help you with the particles sometime too for the waterfall.
Yeah. Gotta get that generally in the middle of the cave.
Let me just do that. Oh yeah, some of the vines I made using that tool.
Okay. And then we need to do some along the path.
I almost forgot why I'm moving, but that's the river system that Lucas made. Normal day in the life of our team members, pretty much. Going around, tweaking things, updating the worlds that we're in, or tools. Actually, I still got... Oh yeah, I was gonna place rocks around this ledge. I think I'll do that while he's doing that. Still got Twitch chat right here, so if you have questions, definitely open to that. Even if I accidentally delete them off of this, I'll have them in my dashboard. Kind of rotate them randomly. I need a longer one. Oh, there was no messages yet. Let's see here. Aha. Gotcha. Oh yeah, definitely we can upgrade your world with the new plants as well when it's ready. There we go. It is not a blunt shape. In fact, it is a material. And if I move the plant, it actually moves as well. Is because there's a global offset.
Oh, we actually need to replace all the plants in here.
I know,
Because these
that's what I
aren't
was.
the Atlas ones.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier too. You do that next time,
Yeah.
as they're almost ready. Just gotta save them up. Or up in there. The essentials. Let's open this up. So this is what the material looks like normally. Looks very scary, but matter of fact, is simply just displacing any mesh that this material, or yeah, is placed on. And it has a displacement map right here for the vertex. You can also use UV displacement, and that UV displacement is also on the unlit material, if I recall, as well. And there's also a world displace map. So what that means is the waviness is going to be different for that plant than, say, the same plant over there. So it doesn't move in a uniform way. And you can scale that as well too. And yes, it is definitely cursed. Although to note, whenever you bring out like any material orbs like this, the collider stays the same, so it might be a little bit tricky to grab it. But it's because it's just moving its visuals, not the actual mesh. Spiky. And that's how the palm trees move. Sometimes you might see it applied to water materials, plants, and even some very specific effects that you can do. Yeah, you can definitely make fire with it. If you want to make it some sort of like stylized way, you can definitely use it to kind of make the flames flap. Actually, that's another thing I just thought about. Flags, you could probably make like cloth flailing in a wind using it. And that's what I used on some of the sails in the Cloud Home and Tutorial World. Although I'm probably going to resort to using uh, blend shape animations specifically for those because of some limitations. So I couldn't really put a detailed normal map on it. Let's move this one over. And down into the ground here. Close that. And off, we're building this rock wall here. So randomly rotating it to make it look natural. Also gonna grab one of those other rocks. I am so going to update this multi-tool one of these days. Basic premise of the original multi-tool concept was a tool that you can take apart, put the tools back on, like a drill bit shape, and be able to have like some kind of way to swap between different slots of tools. Would be interesting. Did I
Um,
tell you how we
uh,
found out how to, able to make the tool swappable?
No.
So you can't really add or subtract like items in a list in that multi-tool component. So we
Uh-huh.
figured, well, we can still swap the references of the tools. So
Oh
why
yeah,
not
no. Me
just,
and you talked about this.
yeah. Well, for those listening, uh, this uses a tooltip or tool multiplexer and has like a set list. You can create or remove stuff within that list only in the inspector right now. And actually, I can open it up too. But we figured not just have like a set amount of tools and then you just swap the reference of that tool and have like a set amount of slots, like 6 of them or 7, and then you just set this slot and then you take off the tool, put a different tool you want on it, and then whenever you select that slot, it's going to be that tool.
I'm about to bake the reflection probes.
Oh
I went
boy.
and placed all the static ones around. There's quite a
Um,
few of them now.
before you do, I recommend saving. Let me just make this non-grabbable and yes, Autumn, I definitely would need the multi tool.
I want to make sure it looks good with the reflection probes before I save.
Okay.
If anything, we can just use this as like a test for this process.
Do it.
Let me bake the probes. 1 out of 30.
Wait, what? Oh boy, we'll be here for a while.
Well, I'm doing it in desktop, so it shouldn't be that bad.
They still hurt. I require 50 of them. 50 multi tools. Yes, that was the comment I did.
Behind you.
Hmm?
I think you got an inspector on you.
What? No, I just have Twitch chat. I.
Oh, you know what? It's probably a Twitch chat card. You can't see it because it's behind your view. Hold on. No, I don't think.
He'll be back.
We'll get it later.
Yeah, I think it might be a Twitch chat thing. Like when I grab out a chat. Also, welcome to the stream, Autumn. Actually, speaking of multi tool, I have to send Specs my multi tool. Because for the bit they used with permission some people's multi tools, but they also want to release one for the public. So swapping out some of them would be necessary, but I can just pass them over one of my old multi tools. So I'll just send this to Specs or June, whichever first I find in my list. I could just type it. There's Specs.
Halfway done with the reflection.
There we go.
We'll run around and test them. If this works out well enough, I'll give a little bit more of a showcase on how it works. And if people want to use it, we can throw in the essentials after cleaning it up a little bit.
I miss using this thing. We got a good question from Marty. What do you guys use for textures? Substance Painter? Yes and no.
Yes.
Yes, for a lot of the baked textures and some of the tile textures that Rue made were in Substance Painter. Some of them were made in Blender or in GIMP. Like some of the specific circular patterns, like if I go into the Resonite Essentials assets, Resonite assets, Dawn assets, and textures, there is a selection of patterns. Let me render private UI here. Once we get the source files all set up together, we'll get the actual files we use to create these textures. Like these circles were all physically modeled in Blender and then rendered as a texture. Hence why I can make a normal map out of them, because it's like actual tubes rather than just a flat circle. And same with some of these other patterns here, like this one for instance. This one is one that Raivi made, but I made the normal map for it by modifying the original pattern meshes and made it 3D. And one of the latest patterns that we've made is I went and updated this old pattern. This is one thing that Code 87 pointed out to me, is that the center of it was misaligned. So I went and updated it. Made a whole bunch of different versions of it. Made a version that has like little wool orbs in it to kind of look like little stars in it or sparkles. I used that on the updated versions of the ceiling lamps. And I made one with thicker lines and normal maps for each of those as well too. Gradients, height maps, just messing around with the different ones too, as well as the local home textures will be updated with these too. We got another question now too. By Open Skies, in your opinion, what is the best looking world that has ever been made in Resonite? Oh, that is a hard one.
I finished bacon.
Well, don't forget to turn off the oven when you're done.
We should run around and check it out though, and see how they change and how it feels.
Let me make sure it's either turn. Is it like? Oh, it's inverted. So yeah, yep. Yeah, I see the reflection on the ground there. Or water. Yeah. What are your thoughts? There's a lot that people have made in MMC that are really good, like worlds. Like I got some
Mm-hmm.
personal favorites, but there, there's a few best
If
visually
they,
looking ones. Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say like if they're talking about visually looking ones, Cult's made some that look visually really nice.
Yes.
And I always want to see people like try their best to make some good looking worlds with realistic lighting or maybe like realistic textures, stuff like that. Because it's possible. You can definitely do that stuff in here, and you can make it look good. It takes a little while to like get a handle for how the lighting stuff works, how to set things up. The spherical harmonics that Fuchs added, once you get the hang of it and start learning how it works, it can drastically change the look and feel of a world for the better. So I want to see some people try to utilize that more in their worlds and set it up correctly, which is why I'm trying to make this thing as easy to use as I can. Looks like I still need to tweak a few things on it. I believe the protoflux.
Some of the worlds I can think of off the top of my head. The latest one from Critter Canyon, from the Shadow Cove as well, is another good world. Not Critter Canyon, Critter Club. And as well as the Harvest map by Hardlight. Why is the name slipping off of my tongue? Island Harvest map and the Relay map that they've made as well. are some really good visually polished ones. But it also depends on like what you define like looking worlds. Some of them are very stylized and look really good. Like within the art category of the MMC, there's lots of good ones, as well as like just worlds that people publish from time to time.
So it looks like it's switching the probe correctly. Well, in some cases, I think I need to like make the thing that calculates whether or not you're in it a little bit more robust. But okay. Once I can get this fleshed out, it'll make it a lot easier for people to set up spherical harmonics for their world, because all they'll have to do is duplicate the reflection probes and then bake them, and that's it. Then they're done, and it's set up with pretty lighting. The real-time one works well, though. Let me go turn that on.
It's a little slower than I remember.
Oh, it takes a second to speed up.
Ah, okay. Actually, what is the resolution you have it? Oh, it's starting to speed up though.
Yeah. What I did for that probe, why it's slow, is every time it switches, it sets the smoothing value to as low as possible and then slowly ramps it up. That way, when you switch reflection probes, it's not a drastic change, it's a gradual change. But you still want the real-time one to run in real time. So when it switches to the real time, it ramps up in speed for it to be real time. I probably need to set the factor a bit higher, so instead of like 10, we set it to like 100 or something. I don't know. But yeah.
I just looked at the time. We're like 5 over. But it took a bit, like 5 minutes or so for folks to get in and for us to get set up, so. Oh, okay, we got a good question here too that we can answer. How does the river push you around? Well, that is using forces pushing you around in a path.
The river is basically constantly looking at where you're at and trying to push you towards the center of the river. And then once you are in the center, it provides a force along a route. Lucas was the one that made the system.
Yes. I can see some of the displacement map of the water too.
We'll sometimes just in this lazy river and just like relax and have conversations while we float along. It's very relaxing.
Even had a couple of meetings technically along this river. It's just funny, but also convenient. Yes, it is a really nice world that you made, Rue. It is Water Park. It is already a published world, although it doesn't have the edits we just have, but it will be.
Yep, we'll make sure to update it. If you want, you can take it right now and edit it yourself. Like, it's open for people to edit. It's not locked down. You can do whatever you want with it. We will be upgrading some things in the next couple days, like replacing all the plants and fixing up some of the collider stuff, and then also the reflection probes. But if you want, you can have it now, or you can wait for the update.
Got the clean.
Probably end it here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's hop up here.
Meeting in a lazy river. I mean, in VR, you can basically meet anywhere you want, technically.
Well, I think that'll be it for today. Thank you guys for hopping in and asking some questions and taking a look at what we got to show you.
Yep, let me just move the camera over. Yeah, there we go. Well, let's chat. So, you all have a wonderful afternoon, evening, day, morning, whichever time it is, and you all take care. We're every
Later.
Wednesday around the same time, starting at 6 p.m. CST. And I know Fuchs has theirs on Sundays, as well as uh, Gein's on every Saturday, or every other Saturday, Fuchs on Sundays, as well as Veers, and Prime on uh, Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
You all have a good one. Bye
See
bye.
y'all later.